Hello everyone, I am Shreya Jain and today we will be discussing about errors. Whatever code you write, you always do face some error. So here is a brief discussion about some errors. First comes the syntax error. Syntax errors are errors in a code that the computer cannot interpret. They are also known as compile time errors as well as parsing error. In Python, these errors are basically caused because of wrong spelling, omission of some important and special characters, or inconsistent use of indentation. Let's have a look to a code. In this code, we have taken input in the variable name, and if the variable name's value is equals to William, then we will print nice to meet you. Now let's run this code. When you run this code, you find out that there is a syntax error because there is a colon missing in the if statement at the end of if statement. So this is basically the syntax error. Now here comes the second error. This is runtime error. These are errors that cannot be detected until the runtime. They are often caused because of some data does not exist. These type of errors are only found at runtime and often through lots of testing. Let's run this code. Here we have taken age as an input, and if age is greater than 50, then we will print a message showing wow, you are old. Now let's run this code. When we run this code, a code is asking how old are you? Let's give our age as 45. See, here it is giving error. This is because I am trying to compare an age with a string. See, in the age we have inputted how old are you instead of a numeric value. So here it's runtime error and we have find out only after running the code. The code has not given the compile time error. So this is basically known as runtime error. Next are the logical error. These are errors in code that do not throw error at all, but simply do not do what they are intended to do. They are most difficult to spot because they can be found through full and extensive testing only. Let's take an example. Here we are inputting temperature in int format and the variable name is temp. Now let's run this code. On running this code, it is asking us what is today's temperature. Now let's type 45. It's cold, but 45 is warm temperature. Hey, this is because we have used wrong symbol. We should have used this symbol, greater than symbol, and now let's run the code. Again, the code is asking how warm is it today. Let's type today's temperature is 45 and now it's giving the correct answer. Wow, it's hot. Now we have some more types of error. First is the type error. This type of error occurs when wrong type is applied in an operation. Let's have a look. In this code, we have a list in which we have string value and we are here trying to calculate the sum. Let's run this code. See, it is giving type error. This is because we are trying to find out the sum of a string, which is not at all possible. Similarly, if you will add an integer with a string, this same type error will occur. Then comes the value error. This error occurs when you give invalid input to casting functions like int or float. Let's have a look to an example. Here, when you will enter a normal number in this code, first let's run this code. Here, when you will run a normal number, then the code will work perfectly. Let's enter 5. Hey, the code is working fine. Now let's run this program again and now we will enter a decimal value. Let's enter 5.2. Now it's showing value error. Value error is when you enter a non-integer value. Then comes the name error. This error usually occurs when we use undefined names in the program. For example, let's just use the statement in which we are going to print x. So here we are having name error because x is not defined at all. Now have a look on next error, which is zero division error. This type of error occurs when we try to divide an integer by 0. Let's have a look to a code. Here we have assigned a 10 value, b 0, and we are now dividing a by b and storing it in C, and then we will print C. Now let's run this code, and here we have zero division error, as you can see. This is because in Python we cannot divide any integer by 0. Then we have file not found error. This error occurs when we open a non-existing file in a read mode. Basically, you can resolve this error. Actually, you can resolve every error, but this error can be resolved easily. Let's look onto the code. Here we are having a file named as coding, and we have given it read only access. Now let's run this code, and here we have this file not found error. As you can see, file not found error. Now let's have look onto another error, which is IO unsupported operation. If you try to write on file which is open for reading or vice versa, then this error occurs. Here's the code. In this, we are opening a file named test.py, and we are opening it in read mode, and we are trying, and in second line we are trying to rewrite it. Now let's run this code, and here you have file not found error. It is because we have not saved test.py file in our system. But once you have saved this file test.py in your system, then you will be able to only read it, but you will not be able to change anything in it, and you will get IO.unsupported error. Next comes the index error. This error basically occurs when we try to use an index that does not exist. For an example, here we have a list in which we have stored 10 as the 0th index, and we want the first index to be printed out. On running this code, you may see that here it is the index error. So it is because we are trying to print the index which does not exist. Now next comes the key error. This error occurs when we try to use a key which does not exist. Like here is in this dictionary, we have key named as Sumil and its value is 18. And we are accessing another key named Sai. Now let's run this code and see. Here you have key error because the key which you are trying to access is not in the dictionary, and so this is the error. Then comes the indentation error. This error basically occurs when we are beginner in Python programming because we don't know what sort of language it is, and this error is basically of wrong indentation. Let's have a look to the code. In this code, we have assigned a list in which we have 1, 2, 3, 4 as in numbers, and we are using for loop, and we want to print the number which are in the list and a number plus 1 up to its value. When we run this code, we are finding that it has indentation error. This is because here the indentation is not correct. Either you have to indent it inside the for loop or you have to indent it outside the for loop. Then the code will run perfectly. See, now the code is running perfectly. Another error we have is ModuleNotFound Error. This error occurs when we import a module which does not exist. Let's have a look to the example. In this example, we are trying to import a module named as house. When we run this code, it is showing that this module is not at all in its dictionary, and it's sort of trying to install something which is not actually recommendable. So this error basically comes when you try to import a module actually, when it is not in the house. You might also have noticed that when an error occurs, it interrupts our program in between. So there is also a try and catch block which solves this problem, but we will discuss it in our later video. Till then, happy learning. Stay home, stay safe.